I mean, 7 years earlier, and I
Okay.
qualified my CA in 2018. Now
You
I
qualified your
want
CA
to
in?
2018,
Okay.
4 years. And now I want to pivot into the PEBC industry.
You want to pivot
Uh,
into PEVC?
yes, which is why I'm looking to get an MBA now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for the introduction, Ankit. PS, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi Karthik. Like we discussed earlier, can you hear me?
Parul,
Yes, correct.
hi, how are you?
Hi. Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Sorry, my voice might be a little, on and off because I'm actually on the road.
Okay.
So the network could be an issue. But anyway, so quickly to introduce myself, as I've already done my MBA from ISB Hyderabad. I post my, MBA. I've worked for about 10 years. I am keen on exploring specific programs which are meant for mid-career professionals in the US.
Okay.
Which would be the MIT Sloan Fellows program. They stand for MSX, and so some people have also told me to to kind of apply to the Kellogg 1 year and the NYU Tech Andre Koo, because I'm also looking. I mean, I can plan to continue to be in the technology industry. I currently am in the technology industry in the sales domain, though I might want to kind of make a switch to the product side. I mean, I'd like to get your insights in terms of how helpful, a second master's really is. What's the return on investment? Have you seen, candidates? So you did mention you've actually counseled candidates for, those specific programs, but any thoughts really around that? Because obviously there will be far and few such candidates in terms of looking for a second and, I mean, masters really.
Okay, sounds good. We can definitely have a short discussion on that. I'm just going to ask Sahil to introduce himself, and then I'm going to give a short intro, and then we're going to go for Q&A. Is that okay, Parul?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. Hi, Sahil.
Hi, Karthik. Good evening.
Good evening.
Most of my questions are going to be around the reapplication process. I have applied to a few schools over the past year.
Okay.
Got interviewed by a smaller number, but did not eventually make it.
Okay.
I've been able to improve my Gmat score to an extent.
Okay.
But I feel that not much else has changed, especially since I applied round 2 last year, and we're looking at round 1 right now. So maybe apart from the Gmat score, not much has changed between my last applications and now.
Okay.
In these 7 months.
Okay.
So yes, would love to know more about what could be the best ways to navigate through this.
Sure, sounds good. We can definitely give that a shot. I think Ravi has just joined us. Ravi, would you like to do a short intro? Ravi, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Karthik. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ravi Samarth. I'm having almost 17 years of work experience in the field of engineering and project management. I'm heading a project management function right now, and having a Gmat score of 650, and certainly look forward to have support for in the application for the executive MBA particularly. So I'm more interested to know how HKUST Academy can support me in this journey.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's 4 guests today. We've had an intro from everybody. I'm just going to take about 2 to 3 minutes to give a short intro myself. So welcome to the call, everyone. My name is Karthik Parniyappan, and I run HKUST Academy. We are based out of Chennai, India, and we've been in operation since 2013. So completed 9 years and marching towards the 10th year. So that's where we are. We've had the good fortune of working with a lot of very, very talented applicants over the last few years, and we've cracked the top 10 colleges in almost every territory. So within the US, we've had applicants get into Harvard. In fact, I'm very happy to say that the last 2 years were the most competitive years. But our first Harvard admit came in 2020 for the 21 intake, and our second Harvard admit came in 21 for the 22 intake. So we are on a hat trick for Harvard this year. Hopefully it works out. We'll see. But apart from Harvard, we've also had people getting into Booth, Kellogg, MIT, Dartmouth, Darden, Duke, Ross, any number, has any number of top 10 colleges in the US. No Wharton so far, no Stanford so far. Right? We've had interviews with those places. In Europe, we've had people getting into INSEAD, London Business School, Oxford, Cambridge, HEC, and the Spanish schools, IE, IES, right? ISB, definitely, IIM A, and NUS, NTU, SMU as well, HKUST. So pretty much every major college in every major territory, we've had people get into it. And every year, people get sizable number of scholarships as well. So this is about our track record. Personally, about me, I'm an alumnus of IT and Stanford, and I was getting bored in the corporate workspace, and I thought I would do an MBA at that time. This was the year 2012. I applied for an exec program. I got into Stanford Sloan. I got a 770 as well. I navigated this whole Gmat prep MBA application by myself. For a certain number of reasons, I couldn't take up the offer in 2013. So that is when I decided to start HKUST Academy instead. Why? Because some of the things that were keeping me unhappy in the corporate sphere where, I didn't feel the sense of control, right? It's like somebody in some other country is telling the business that something needs to be done, and then that is being interpreted by your director and by your manager, and then that's been given to you. The work itself may be boring or interesting, but it all depends on whether or not you feel connected to the end product and the end customer, and that sense of connection wasn't there in my huge company, right? So that was one thing. And I wanted to see the impact I created on people. And I thought if I did an MBA, I could move to the business side of things, and that would, help me get that. But when I realized that I wasn't going to go for the program at that point, I thought, okay, fine. What's the next best thing? The next best thing is to start my own company. And now I've personally been able to observe the kind of value that we've been adding to people, and that keeps me happy and that keeps me motivated. So that's something that I really enjoy. Yeah, that's all about me. And I think the rest of the call is about you and your questions. So I'm happy to take questions in any order. So you can just like put up your hand or something, or you can type it into the chat window. Either way is fine. Does someone want to go first?
Yeah, Karthik, Ravi here.
Hi, Ravi. Yeah, go on.
Shall I? Yeah.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So do you support for? Yeah, I think someone else who also would like to.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. You support candidates for execute MBA as well? Is that correct?
Yeah, we usually don't work with a lot of exec MBA candidates. That's not because we don't support them. It's more because the number of applicants are a lot fewer than the number of regular MBA applicants. So the market itself is very skewed. And because of that, the number of people we work with is also considerably smaller than the number of people that we help for regular MBAs. But we are happy to do that. And we believe that the process is about the same.
Okay. So in my particular case, I mean, what would be the key aspect that I should take into consideration? I did my preliminary search on this, and I shortlisted 7 to 8 universities, which I further need to fine tune it. But then how I should proceed after this?
Okay, that's a very broad question. So can you narrow it down for me?
Yeah. So basically, I have shortlisted a few universities such as, let's say, INSEAD, Oxford, okay, Cambridge, St. Gallen in Switzerland. So some of the universities based on, because I was more interested. It's not only executive. It's INSEAD is full-time 1 year, and St. Gallen is a weekend. And for rest of the thing, for Chicago Booth also is one of the universities. So for this particular universities, Chicago or the INSEAD and this thing, what are the key aspects would be we should take into consideration while applying, and how you can support me in this case in the application.
Okay. One thing I would ask you to keep in mind is wherever you are required to travel on a frequent basis, just ensure that that is actually feasible for you, right?
Yes. That is for the same reason. Let's say Chicago, they have one of the, I think one of the branches is in Hong Kong and in London and somewhere. So I chose Hong Kong because it's nearby. So considering the same thing. Yeah.
All right. So just ensure that you can go through that rigor of just traveling periodically. I don't think you will necessarily have to travel to Hong Kong every weekend. That would be very, very difficult. Are you based in India?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you are expected to travel for, let's say, 1 week, 10 days, and 3 months, I think that is for somebody like me, at least that is doable. But I can travel more frequently. Okay. So that's the first thing for you to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you should just ensure that your assessment score, your test score, whatever they're looking for, GRE or GMAT or EA, that should be within the bandwidth that is acceptable to them. So typically anything above the 80th or 85th percentile should be okay as far as executive programs go. That's not true for regular MBA programs, but for the executive programs, I think that should be okay. So like a 700 equivalent, right? That should be fine. You need to have the requisite amount of work experience. You said you had 17 years, so that definitely seems like it's plenty. Typically, it helps if you are in a mid-career role and your management sees potential in you to make it to a senior management role, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can get that kind of buy-in and endorsement from your management, that would definitely help. Yeah, I mean, those are the main things I can think of. And of course, when it comes to execution, you should be writing your resume and essays and getting your LORs done in a very impactful way.
And so yeah, as far as GMAT score is concerned, so I have a GMAT score of 650, and I don't have a bandwidth to do anything further there. So
okay.
So this is it. So
okay,
what do you suggest there?
I mean, if you made the decision, it might still be okay to just apply and see. I mean, the worst thing is you're going to get rejected, but unless you apply, you wouldn't know. So just go confidently apply. And then in case you're not getting into any of your target universities, then the next year you will have no choice but to retake the GMAT.
Okay. So
try the EA also. That's one other test that you can try.
Okay. I really don't know whether I'll be able to do that. Because giving GMAT itself was a very time-consuming thing.
Okay. Then just go for it.
Okay. And Karthik, would you be supporting such candidates?
Yeah. I mean, we are happy to help.
So what would the next step? I mean, how do I get in connect with you for the next?
Okay. Send me an email. Do you think you'll be on the call for another 20 minutes or so, Ravi?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, towards the end of the call, I will, explain to everyone how we can take this forward. So,
okay, fine.
Yeah. All right. But any personal questions apart from this?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, this is common to everybody. So I'll just keep it for the end. So I'll keep maybe another 20 minutes.
Sure. Thanks.
So I think I had a private message here. Hi, Karthik. I've taken the GMAT and have scored 690. Okay, good. Retaking it in a couple of days, hoping for 720 to 730, targeting M7. GPA across CA, bachelor's and all has been top 1%. Okay. Wanted your views on the profile and broad considerations I should keep in mind. While I understand this is limited information, kindly let me know if I can add something. I want to know what kind of work experience you have.
Hi, Karthik. This is Ankit.
Hi, Ankit.
Like we spoke in the intro, I have been advising PE/VC clients on their transactions in India, how to structure them, what are their tax and legal implications, and basically how to get the deal done, whether it's a buy deal or a sell deal.
So something to do with valuations and modeling?
A bit of it, but more on the legal side of it. More on the tax and legal
side of it.
Yes.
Tax and legal, is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think you will need a 750 plus for an M7. With the 720 to 730, you may be able to target a top 20 to top 25. I think that's what I'm saying. If you're looking at US programs.
Okay.
Does somebody have any other question?
So Karthik, hi, this is Parul.
Hi, Parul.
Yeah, hi. So again, right, this is specific, of course, might not be useful for the larger audience. But I just wanted to understand your thoughts in terms of, so in the recent years, a lot of people who've been in the industry for a couple of years have done their first MBA from elite business schools in India. Have decided to undertake another master's in the US for various reasons, right? So what's your take on that, right? Like, because you are into this, right, in terms of counseling people, etc. What are your thought process? What's your thought process in terms of the ROI on that? First, that. Secondly, I'd also be keen on understanding. So you mentioned you kind of had applied and you were accepted for the Stanford MSX program, but you decided not to go ahead with the program and still started your own company, right? So one, why was that? What kind of informed your decision? It'll just help to get some insights around that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the answer to that is like pretty straightforward, Parul. Just didn't have like the circumstances to go abroad for education at that point. I mean, when I started the process, I was all on board. But by the time, it's a 6-month process, right? So my life circumstances had changed and I just couldn't go abroad for higher education anymore. It's as simple as that. All personal, nothing professional.
Not anything related to the value that was attached to the
nothing related to the value or ROI. I think it's a great program. Yeah.
Okay.
And you asked about people who completed their education in India, and specifically an MBA, and people who go abroad for a second MBA.
Correct.
Masters
and the ones who've done it from the elite schools, so to say, right, in India, like, so whether that's ISB, IIMs, right, a lot of them are now taking a second master's, for various reasons, right? So what are your thoughts on that, really?
I don't have any personal opinion on that. I do get a good number of people every year, at least 4 or 5 people who have MBAs from NITI and above. Okay. So in different years, it's different places, of course. But I've had people from IMD, I've had people from NITI, I've had people from IIM Shillong, I've had people from IIM Ahmedabad once, right? Not ISB so far. But yeah, your situation is a little different because ISB is sort of equivalent to a foreign MBA in the way the process happens. So I've had people apply to ISB and foreign colleges, but not necessarily finish at ISB and then look for a second equivalent MBA outside. But you're looking at an exec MBA, so that's different. Definitely, I think there's a good number of people who do this every year. The number one thing is they have very interesting profiles, work profiles within India itself, right? Because otherwise you're left with the standard engineering stereotype. Whereas now you have marketers, you have bankers. In fact, I had this girl from IIM Kozhikode maybe about 2 years ago, and she used to be the brand manager for one of the aerated drinks out of Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I forget which company. And she got into HEC, and in fact, her Gmat at that time was only 690. Whereas comparably, other people getting into HEC were expected to have at least 730 plus, for that admissions year. So I think the fact was she had the kind of work experience that would traditionally not be easy to get if you did not have that MBA experience in India, right? So about what value or ROI they get, I haven't followed up with them to ask. That's the honest answer. But what are they getting into this for? That much I can tell you, because that's the early conversations we have, right? Typically, people are looking to break into a global workplace. So that's something that people are looking into. The salaries are already good in India, but I do think I don't talk about numbers with them. But it's common knowledge that IIM grads and equivalent grads do have good packages in India itself. But even so, when you go abroad, you do get a slightly higher package than that. The growth may not be as remarkable as for someone with just an undergrad getting into a post MBA role, but it's still growth regardless, especially when you consider like dollar pricing compared to rupee pricing and all that. So the global movement, I think that's the primary thing people are gunning for.
Got it. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Baru. So wait, I think I had another question. 750 plus is 750 and above. Does anyone have any other question?
Hi, Karthik. This is Anirudh.
Hi,
I have
Anirudh, how are
given
you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. And what about you?
I'm good. Yeah, tell me, Anirudh.
So I have given my GRE twice, and the first time I scored 322, and the second attempt I scored 324 with quants 170 out of 170.
327,
and
is it?
324.
324, okay.
I am targeting US top 25 B schools in that range, and my current work experience is almost 4 years. I have experience in an MNC for 3 years and 7 months, and I'm currently working.
No, I'm not able to hear you properly, Anirudh. Can you speak louder or closer to the microphone, maybe? Yeah.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
I have experience in an MNC in Capgemini for almost 3 years and 7 months, and currently I'm working in a startup for almost 3 months.
Okay.
So this is my work experience, and my GRE score is 324 with quants 170.
Is it an IT role?
Yeah, it is an IT role. It comes under IT and both IT and marketing as well.
Okay.
So my target B schools are US top 25 B schools. So is this score and feasible to trying to that school?
I'll need to look into your profile, Anirudh, but I'm guessing with an IT background, with a 324, you can look at a top 35, maybe not a top 25.
Okay.
But if there's something unique in your story, your personal story, then you may be able to do a little better than that. Okay. Some history of accomplishment, which I'm not seeing based on that short 2-line description you've given me. Okay. Then you can probably get into a top 25 or 30. Okay. But if it's the average Indian IT male kind of scenario, then top 35 is what we're looking at.
Sure. Thank you. Okay.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes.
Hi, Karthik. Sahil this side.
Hi, Sahil. Okay, yeah, tell me, Sahil. I thought it was Faiza, but go
on. So most schools do not give feedback on upon rejecting a candidate just by virtue of the volumes they have and for maybe other reasons.
Yeah.
So what is advice around reapplications? If somebody's planning to apply to the same set of schools, say 6 to 8 months out versus the previous application?
I think you said you had a new Gmat. What was your old Gmat? What was the school in question? And what is the new Gmat?
It was a 710 earlier.
Okay.
Columbia Business School LBS.
Okay.
I mean, these were 2 schools where I got an interview and did not make it.
Okay.
There were a couple of other schools where I did not even get an interview. The new Gmat is now a 750.
Okay. And what's your background?
I've been a funded entrepreneur, and I've worked in VC for a bit.
Yeah, you try. You'll get it.
No, I'm asking what is it that the reapplications are seeking out in terms of
no, some sort of improvement. Your profile seems good. Your Gmat may have been below par, but now you're telling me you have a 750. So I think that should be fine.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. And CBS, if you were interviewed last year, then just put in your application over the next week or so. Just the early round, right? You're happy with CBS, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So just don't delay. Just apply as soon as possible.
Understood. Thank you.
if you want some help, you can reach out and then we can discuss how we can work.
Yes, I'm just writing to you in fact. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Am I audible?
Yeah, very, very feeble. Fahiza, right?
Yeah, hope my audio is good now.
Slightly better. Go on, Fahiza.
So I'm targeting some B schools in the UK because I have a humble Gmat score, and
Okay.
the years of experience is 4, and
Okay.
what is in my mind as of now is schools such as Alliance, Manchester, and Durham.
Okay.
So these are some of Leeds actually. So these are some
Okay.
of the schools in my mind.
Okay.
I just want to know, like, is it really worth writing a GMAT again, or is it better that I directly applied because I hardly have a month more? So I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Can you write me an email on this, Fahiza? Because I don't have the statistics for these schools at the top of my head. I will also have to look into this a little bit. Typically, we haven't had applications going into these schools so far. So I can check and then I can get back to you on this.
I have a mail sent to you with my CV.
You have sent it to me already, is it? Okay. Yeah. I will get back to you at the earliest. Sorry if I haven't replied for a while, but this season it's just my inbox is flooded. See, what I can tell you is for a college like Imperial or Warwick, you will need a 680 at the minimum. Anything below that will not work for Imperial or Warwick. And we worked with only 5 colleges in the UK. We worked with London Business School, Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, and Warwick. We've not worked with Manchester, KUST, Durham. No, none of these so far, but these are all very good places to study at. But I don't want to make a bad guess that such and such GMAT or such and such GRE is sufficient because I don't know anything about these programs.
Okay, and the other remark that I get mostly is that 4 years is too much less for UKB school. So I should look into.
No, 4 years is okay. No problem with 4 years.
Okay, all right. Okay, and I have written some of my SOPs and things also. So I'm still not sure as to proceed or not to proceed. So because I need a review, right, for all those things.
Okay.
And, so that's what I just wanted to inquire with you on perfecting things or fine tuning certain things so that it would really strike a chord with the applications team.
Okay, fine. Let me look at your email and then I'll reply to you. We can have a one-to-one call and discuss how we can help you. And then if that seems reasonable to you, then we can move forward. And we are definitely happy to help. The only issue in your case is I don't know much about the admission criteria for these colleges. So because I don't have the experience so far, but that should not be a problem. As long as they follow the same admissions process, we can do some digging and find out what kind of results they have and what kind of profiles they're looking at. And then the essay writing process will be the same. So that should not be an issue. So let's have that one-to-one call and then we can take it forward.
All right, thanks, Karthik.
Yeah, just hold on for another 10 minutes or so when I explain the process with regards to how we can get together. So Ravi had asked that question, so I'll just take a few other questions and then I'll get back to that. So somebody has a question: how does a good work experience of 5 to 7 years in consulting help if your GMAT is below the average, CA commerce graduate? When you say below the average, it's like 10 points or 20 points below the average, it may not affect you much. But if it's like 50 or 60 points below average, then it will hurt you badly. So that's the generic answer I can give you. If I had to be a little bit more specific, people who work for McKinsey, Boston Bain typically are very good at cracking exams, and they usually end up with a 740 if they've been sleeping through half the test. That's typically the kind of performance you expect from someone in that background. And now you come to me with a 720 or a 730, but you're from MBB, then that's okay. You're still okay. But if you come to me with a 670 or 680, first of all, I don't expect an MBB candidate to have that kind of a Gmat score because, not for any great reason. It's like these companies will hire you only if you're capable of performing on an aptitude test at that level, right? So at entry, you've been tested. At exit, you definitely need to have that kind of performance, unless you've had a brain injury somewhere in the middle. Right? That's the only reason why your Gmat will be below that. But then if you were to broaden the definition of consulting to financial services consulting, Deloitte, KPMG, EY, then there's a wide range of people that are hired. Then 670s and 680s are possible as well. Then also I would expect you to have like a 730 or so. I'm not sure if that's answering your question, but based on the level of detail that you've given me, that's what I can mention to you. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to take about 5-10 minutes to explain how we can take this forward from this point. So we get together once every 2 weeks to answer questions that a lot of our applicants have. Now, some of these applicants are interested in working with us. And before we get started, we recommend that we have a one-to-one call. We'll usually set it up for half an hour or so. We have a small charge of around 2,000 for it. And we will subtract that when you sign up for one of the packages. Okay, if you don't sign up, then we won't subtract it, of course. But if you sign up, we'll subtract it. Why am I recommending this call? It always helps to have a short discussion to discuss mutual alignment and see if we are compatible working with each other before we start on this project. It's a very important project, and it's a project which depends to a large extent on the chemistry we are likely to have with each other, right? So if we are able to work well together, then the odds of success improve dramatically. If it is difficult, then typically we would prefer not to enter into such engagements. It's better that we work with somebody else and you work with somebody else, right? So that's the primary objective of this call. But we will also discuss alignment in terms of goals and objectives, right? So what kind of colleges are you looking at? Do I feel like that's a worthwhile application for you, right? And then you may also have some concerns that you want to ask me, and then I can provide you with those clarifications as well. So that's a discussion that we can have. And post that discussion, towards the end, I will also explain our packages and how we can work together. Broadly, we have 3 tiers of packages, of which 2 tiers people sign up for. One is the comprehensive tier of packages, and the other is the ultra tier of packages. There's a very, very simple difference between these two. In the comprehensive tier of packages, we have a limit of 1 1-hour brainstorming call per college. So a 5-school package, we'll have 5 brainstorming calls. We also have 3 other calls, which I'll explain in a minute, but primarily it's centered around 5 brainstorming calls for 5 colleges, right? But as in the ultra package, we don't have that kind of limit. We have a very soft limit of 1 call per week. Okay, so it's not like we'll definitely do 1 call per week, but if you do 1 call this week, then the next one can only be next week. That's the only difference between the all and the ultra. Everything else is the same. We don't limit the number of reviews. We don't limit you asking questions using our email channels. And that's something that we are very diligent in answering. So the fact that we don't have calls beyond the 1 does not mean we don't have communication beyond the 1. We have a lot of communication. Broadly, the process is as follows. Once you get started, I will be requesting you to share some background information with me. So I'll share some questions and I'll request you to write down answers to those questions, right? So this will take about 10 days or so. And based on that, I would be able to come up with a shortlist. And after the shortlist is over and mutually acceptable, then we move on to the brainstorming phase. So I'll be helping you with the essays, letters of recommendation, and the resume, right? So we'll meet for that 1 brainstorming call if it's the comprehensive. If it's ultra, then we don't have to worry about whether it's 1 or 2 or 3. No, whatever, we'll meet as necessary. But typically 1 is sufficient. Okay. It all depends on the level of confidence you have about whether or not you need more time. Right? Now, in that one call, I will give you some homework to do before you get in. So it should take you about 1 or 2 days to finish that homework. And then we'll get in and then we'll launch into the discussion right away. I will be asking you some questions to help you clarify your thought process. What do I mean by this? Let's say Stanford had that question, what matters to you and why, right? So I would be saying something along the lines of, okay, what are some things that have impacted you a lot during your life? Right? So you may think about it and then you may say, hey, you know what? I spent 2 years volunteering for a nonprofit, and that is something I find very satisfactory. Apart from that, on a personal basis, I used to have a stutter when I was in 5th standard, but then over a period of time, I worked on it, and now I am an MC at my office events. So that is this question of not letting your weaknesses take control of your life. That is something that matters to me. So on the one side, you've said education matters to you. On the other side, you've said taking control of your life. And on the third side, you can say something along the lines of you're a great project manager at work and you like how different complex projects can be synchronized and it's like music to your ears, right? So you've given me 3 important things that are equally interesting to you. So now I'll have like a short 15-20 minute discussion with you on, concept A, concept B, and concept C, and then we'll try to clarify your thought process and figure out which one is the better thing to write about. Okay, so it's partly clarifying your thought process. It's partly about figuring out which one is slightly more impressive for adcoms to read. Typically, the answer to that is they're not worried about it. They just want to know who you are and what your personality is. So whatever matters to you is what you should be writing about. But is that absolutely true, or can we make some calls around it? So we'll have a discussion around it. And then I will help you put together a bullet point structure. Okay, so everything has come from your mind. My role is to be the facilitator, right? So I'm like pulling thoughts out of your mind. That's what I'm trying to do. And I will help you put it on paper. We'll develop a structure for the essay, and then we'll close the call. Then you will write an essay based on that structure. And whenever you're done, you will share a draft with me. I will provide you with comments on how you can make it better. And then we'll share another draft, and we'll keep going back till we get it right. Same process for the resume, same process for the LORs. Now in our 5-school comprehensive package, we have 2 mock interviews included by default, right? So we'll have a total of 8 calls in the 5-school package. There's 1 overall call, there's 5 brainstorming calls, and there's 2 mock interview calls. And in the 3-school package, there's no interview prep by default. We charge separately for it. Okay, so by default, it comes with 4 calls, and otherwise we'll charge a little extra, and then we'll add 2 more calls. Right? So I mean, these are just logistics, and these are just like so-called what is included and what is not included. But to a large part, we stay with you through the application process, and then we are also happy to answer questions outside of this. So that's where we help. And if you have any questions or if you want to discuss how we can work together, please definitely do send me an email. We'll charge for the initial call, like I said, but after that, we can take it forward from there, provided both of us are happy with working together. I'm usually happy to work with about 90% of the people who talk to me. So, I don't pre-qualify anybody. The only thing that matters to me is your expectations are in line with your profile, right? So if you're coming to me with a relatively weak background and you're looking at an M7 application, I may struggle to deliver that. And for that reason, I may be honest with you about it. And then if you still want to go ahead and work with me, that's fine. But you should be very open to the idea of rejection, right? You shouldn't be very surprised if you were rejected tomorrow. Right? But on the other hand, if you have like a profile that's good for Ross and you want to apply to Ross, then that's like a dream come true. Right? So that's the only thing. I would want to make sure that I can deliver in line with your expectations. And if that is the case, then I think we'll have a very successful engagement. Any other questions on this?
So I had a question, Karthik, Parul this side. So you mentioned that we start the initial discussion wherein we try to shortlist the schools, I'm assuming, right?
Typically in our foundational call, in the preliminary counseling call that we will have, we will not do a shortlist. I might still give you like a range of colleges that we can work through. And then if that is agreeable to you, then we can move forward from there.
Great. Okay. So suppose in my case, I'm already very clear as to what colleges I want to apply to, right?
Yeah.
And those are, I mean, we've discussed those, right? So given that, that clarity is already there from my end, and I'm sure that, I mean, of course.
So I would be able to comment on how easy or difficult it may be, or, just share my thoughts on it.
Correct. Yeah. So exactly. So we can discuss that, and then obviously the elements that are required and which one is a better fit or whatever. All of those things are there. What I'm trying to get to is that instead of wasting time in shortlisting piece, right? Can we switch to the brainstorming immediately if the shortlisting piece is really not something that I want to focus on as a candidate?
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. Let's discuss it when we talk. I would still need the first foundational material from you, because anyway, your essays will be based on that. The shortlist part in the middle, I guess we don't have to worry about that, but definitely the essays, not essays, but the foundational material, which takes for 10 days for everybody at the beginning, I may still ask you to do that exercise.
And is there any way to shorten the 10 days, or is it like...
you can do it faster. I mean, 10 days is what people take on average, but I'm not mandating that you take 10 days.
Okay, got it. So thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it. If there's any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll just put on my email address here. So it is karthik@augustacademy.in. And we'll follow up with you there, and then we can take it forward as the case may be. One small request for people who are watching this on YouTube: if at all you land up upon this video on YouTube, just give a like, share, or subscribe, and that's going to help us. And I'll tell you how exactly it's going to help us, because YouTube's algorithm just picks up this video and shows it to other people who are looking for similar content. And generally, the more endorsements you have, the broader the reach, and that is something that's actually going to help us. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to each one of you individually, and then perhaps working with some of you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you.